show you this. This is my HRV. Hopefully that's in focus. And you know, it goes up and down like other people's HRV, but generally it's really, really high up there at the top end in the 2000s. Also, let's do a quick check on my resting heart rate. So we're in the 40s. I think it averaged out at 47, was a wee bit lower than that. That's not that crazy for an athletic person, but I'm 104 kilos with that lower heart rate. As I lose weight, particularly body fat, that heart rate tends to lower because it doesn't need to work as hard to pump blood around my body. So the reason a lower heart rate can be really good, it means your heart in boom, one beat will push that blood further, more effectively. It's a bit like a drum beat. You can go tap, 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 tap really fast to make some sound waves, or you go boom, boom. So my heart does boom, boom and gets blood around my body quite effectively. The HRV is a sign of your sort of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So the higher your HRV, the better your body can relax. So I was watching the guy from Whoop, I forget his name. I think it's Ahmed, Will Ahmed, I think. Anyway, he was on Modern Wisdom podcast with Chris Williamson. And Chris Williamson mentioned that there was a study done in an orchestra and people with woodwind instruments had a higher HRV compared to the people with the non-woodwind instruments. And a woodwind instrument, you blowing into it, you got this blowing into it. So as a child, I was forced to play bagpipes. I know, my name's Angus, I live in Scotland, and I used to play bagpipes. I'm a cliche. But anyway, I think that's one of the reasons I have really good breath control. I've always had really good breath control. I can hold my breath quite well for someone who doesn't practice holding their breath quite well. I have pretty good lung capacity as measured with various lung devices like the peak flow. I can normally max it out. It's really beneficial when you're weight training. You can blast out reps, but I'm also particularly good at cardio. Despite being really heavy, my power output's really good and my sustained power output's pretty good. Could be better. I'm working on it just now. Which brings me to this little thing called the omhale breath trainer. So they sent me this and said to review it because they saw my review on AeroFit. And AeroFit is great. It connects to an app, which is cool. They update the app all the time. They've just come out with a new one. I've got the older one, and they also do one with like an onboard sort of computer that connects to the app, and they also do one similar to this one. The beauty of the AeroFit is, well, one, it works. This is pretty much the exact same thing. You're controlling the inhale and controlling the exhale differently. I'll give you a closer look at this. And you can do a test on it. The problem with AeroFit is it's actually really quite expensive. Great tool, it works, but it's expensive. Getting that test in the app is pretty cool. I like that. But this has been really cool. So I will open it up and show you the contents of the box. So you got a recharging cable, you've got this thing that I'll get back to, and then you've got the actual device, lives in a wee case that you can put in your rucksack and take with you. And you've got two mouthpieces, you've got a nose clip, which is something the AeroFit, sorry, I'm a coffee guy. The AeroFit doesn't go with. You got a wee cleaning nodule, which is definitely useful. Personally would not share this device with anyone. And you got two mouthpieces, one without the mouthy grippy thing and one with the mouthy grippy thing. Depends what you're looking for. And then the actual device itself is super simple. So you've got your inhale here and it's lettered with like ABC. And then you got out, which is numbered. So 1 and A being the absolute easiest. And then if we dial this up, if we dial this up to C, it's harder to breathe in. So you're working the inhale and exhale, and you can think of this exactly like pushing the concentric and the eccentric on an exercise. So the inhale, you're using inspiration or easy for you to say, inspiratory muscles, and then you use your exhale. So I'm really good at the exhale, but the inhale, you might want to control that. So various sports, you need to control your breath, like say swimming, because your face is going to be in the water. So you need to do a and then get your face in the water. So your inhale needs to be short and sharp, and you need to fill those lungs as quickly as possible. Then with exhale, if you're breathing out underwater, you might want a long, slow exhale rather than a short, sharp exhale, because you maybe don't want to empty your lungs so quickly. So you could set that up where the inhale on this is quite hard and the exhale is quite soft, and then you would just time that with a 2-second inhale and say a 4-second exhale. You could time it to your sport, but also get the resistance on there. And these sort of trainers, there's loads of evidence on these trainers that they work. The reason they work is because they're bloody hard to use. They really are quite difficult to use, especially doing it properly. You can also use this just to create a little bit more resistance on, say, an exercise bike. And I wouldn't dial this, I wouldn't be a hero and dial this, we're gonna dial this straight up to 7, and we're gonna dial this straight up to 6, because you'll black out, okay? So when you are doing it on a bit of cardio, you gotta use your wiseness and you gotta let this out and get an exhale, inhale. That's why a lot of people do nose breathing only on cardio machines, but what happens is we end up cheating, we start going, breathing in through the side of the mouth. And there's nothing wrong with mouth breathing. Nose breathing just is a smaller aperture. It does add some slight benefits to things. Like, people will make it out like it's the most beneficial thing in the world, nose breathing. And it's a useful tool, but it's more a useful tool for a gearing system. So inhale, exhale through the nose would be your lowest gear. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth would be your second gear. And in, out through your mouth fully. Anyone who's done like a VO2 max test, you are out of your mouth. When you're doing zone 2, you can monitor your zone 2 by nose breathing only, but once you get really good at nose breathing, you can go past zone 2. So anyway, so this is the device, and I thought I would show you this. So it does come with this like magnetic, which I think that's really cool, and it has an onboard voice thing.
Let's get started with omhale breathing trainer. Put it in your mouth and select the training mode.
And then
Beginner level. 20 breaths. Here we go. Inhale. 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1.
okay, so
Intermediate level.
I'm turning it off. Although that's such a cool idea, that voice is really annoying. You could just write down the time and set up the timer a different way. You could also set up your timers with something. There's loads of apps. I've got the Helio band. It has some breathwork things. So you could do, say, box breathing with this just to make it a little bit harder. So box breathing is quite good at regulating your nervous system. I really like coherence breathing, but if you wanted to do it more as an exercise, so it would be the equivalent of box breathing would be Tai Chi, and this would be MMA. So it was just, you know, both serve a purpose, just a different training tempo and a different training speed on it. So you could play about with this. You could just go, you know, level A. It depends what you want. Do you want inhale or exhale? You could do it on your cardio to make your cardio just a little bit tougher. So you got exhale against a little bit more pressure. This is sometimes why people go up to elevation, because it's a little harder to breathe. You got to take bigger inhales because there's less oxygen in there. This will deprive you, but be careful. These are hard, and if you're gonna do it with cardio, be super careful. I'm not suggesting you actually should do it. But as a breathing trainer, really cool. The voice thing, the magnetic, I like that. The voice is just annoying for me, but the actual device itself is pretty cool, and it's super cheaper. I can't not remember off the top of my head how expensive this thing is, but it's way cheaper than the AeroFit. I'll link it below. I think there's also a discount code down there for you guys. But check this out. So if you're wanting to boost your HRV, which was the whole point of this video, boost your HRV, lower your heart rate, you need to have better lung capacity. You need to have stronger lungs, so your lungs are working harder. Your muscles, your intercostals around your ribs and around your lungs, not just your diaphragm flopping up and down and not just air pressure, your actual muscles get to blow that in and out like a set of bellows, just really forcing in, out. And then The more oxygen you can get in there, the more you can open up this, the more the gas exchange will happen. You can clear carbon dioxide a lot faster and you can get oxygen in a lot faster, which sends a signal to your body to go, hey, this person can burn more carbohydrates to get that buildup of carbon dioxide. One of the reasons we gas out is because we fill our body with carbon dioxide to a toxic level and we can't clear it fast enough, that oxygen exchange, so that VO2 max is kind of what's happening. That's why it's a VO2 max. You could improve it if you were better at breathing, and you could just batter yourself on a bike to do that. But if you actually train these muscles, that would be better. Just like you would isolate your quads on a leg extension, you're isolating the quads to build up your quads separate to a squat, separate to a leg press, separate to another exercise, just to isolate them. Isolating your lungs and doing this, particularly if you've got, say you got Monday, Wednesday, Friday as your cardio, you could add this in either at the weekend or on your off days, Tuesday and Thursday, just to help your lungs out. And like I say, you could mix it up with your cardio, but you know, I think I've given enough risk warning that is something you can do, but it would really need to be done under supervision of a medical expert. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about this. This is a cool little tool. I like the little carry case. I like the whole thing it comes with. And I actually like it not connecting to an app and just using it. Do like a 5x5, 5 inhale, 5 exhale against some pressure. You can make the inhale, exhale harder. You can do all kinds of things with this. I think I made this video longer than it needs to be. You get the idea. But anyway, you too could have an amazing HRV. The reason you don't is because you weren't forced to play a bagpipe when you were a child and you didn't develop superior lung capacity. But just like someone who starts a woodwind instrument as an adult can improve their HRV. And if you don't have time to learn an instrument, just 5 minutes a day with this could be absolutely revolutionary for you. Anyway, Angus out.